Hello and welcome back to our Bannerlord modded playthrough. We're going to be playing against a couple of bandits right here. As you can see, I have already taken that quest. I actually did not even realize that I took the quest before I did this, but yeah, there you go. Okay. Alright, so that's perfectly fine. Now, Escort Merchant Caravan quests are pretty fantastic for a variety of reasons. I've already gone over the biggest one, which is obviously the Manual Laborer quest, having a pretty significant profit margin as a result of you being able to take all of these high-value prisoners and then give them to that task. However, the other thing that you have to consider is how easy it is to level up units by doing these fights. And you can see exactly what I mean here. I've got already 5 people leveled up. Boom, look at that. Oh yeah, so by the way, I've just been playing off screen, as I said I would do in the previous episode, because obviously we faced a pretty bad defeat in the previous episode. So that was not exactly great. I mean, sometimes I can't really do much about it. And now that I've learned a little bit more about how the combat mod works with the formations and everything, I should be able to make better strategic and tactical decisions on the fly. Because usually, if you don't have the combat mod installed, it's going to be a simple matter of putting your guys in shield wall and then telling them to charge, and then they will just ignore, or the shield wall formation will break, and then you have a pretty easy time of, well, seeing them rush in there and crush your enemies. Or at least that's how it's supposed to be. However, with this mod, it doesn't actually do that. We're going to fight these guys because I think they're going to be a little bit more difficult than the desert bandits. They seem to primarily be forest bandits. Anyway, that is exactly why I think I ended up losing that, because my infantry was moving at such a slow pace that it was just absolutely, I would say probably almost impossible for me to get anything done there. And you may see me here. I'm actually trying out a new weapon. I don't know whether this is going to work. Let's just say that, because this is the first time I've actually tried it in an actual battle. This is a scythe that I created myself. Now bear in mind that I have given it an extremely small handle on purpose, and that was because I was hoping that it would actually be a little bit more maneuverable, a little bit easier to wield in close quarter situations as well, because you never know when you're going to get into a situation where you need a little bit more reach than your one-handed provides, but not as much as what a full-length polearm is going to give you. So that's the reason why I went for a slightly smaller handle, but it seems as though this is a little bit too short. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'll have to return to the drawing board. I've been doing a bunch of crafting as well, by the way. Basically just trying to figure out good and different variations of polearms. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute, why don't I just go back to the basics and I just try out this? And as you can no doubt tell, it's not the best. Yeah, kind of a bit sad, to be honest. Kind of a bit sad, because I was really hoping that we could use something kind of interesting here. Because here's the thing: I don't think that thrusting polearms are actually any good with the combat mod installed. I think thrusting polearms are very underpowered in comparison to, for example, just a regular slashing sword. The slashing sword itself seems so much stronger, which is really kind of weird in my opinion. I don't feel like a one-handed sword should be stronger than a couched lance. That just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm kind of thinking that I'll switch to maybe a slashing polearm, or in the event that I actually don't want to continue using polearms at all, I'll probably just switch to using some kind of ranged attack. So, in other words, I'll probably use a crossbow or a regular bow. Now, bear in mind that that might be a little bit problematic in itself, because as we've seen in the tournaments, bows and crossbows can have a relatively wide variance as well. So, on the one hand, sometimes you might get really lucky and you might hit the opponent in such a way so that you'll deal massive damage, and I'm talking about 100 plus damage here. Or you might have a situation where you're just going to hit this guy and is gonna just shrug off the damage, as you've seen me do multiple times here, because obviously, you know, the AI is also subject to the same kind of rules that I am. So if I hit them for 2, they're probably gonna hit me for 2 as well, unless they get exceptionally lucky and hit me in one of those portions of my body or a portion of my hitbox that is significantly unarmored. And I think that that is the primary reason right there. That's also the reason, I mean, as you can see, look at that guy. He just hit me in the head with a bow shot. And it did 2 damage. Yeah, 2 damage. So I'm thinking, because it was a cutting damage attack, that's probably the reason why it did such a small amount. But I'm kind of now dubious to spend a huge amount of resources, and I'm talking about focus points here, I'm talking about attribute points in ranged attacks, because if I literally spend all my points in these things, and then I find out, oh, ranged is not actually that good, well, then we're going to have problems, aren't we? Because then we've spent all those focus points for basically nothing, and it's not like we have an unlimited supply of these things. So it is going to be a little bit difficult to decide on what to do. So these are my current statistics right here. Oh, I actually got to 100. This is pretty good. Okay, let's have a look. 20% more damage while wielding a one-handed weapon without a shield. Okay, so obviously one of my other series focuses on a duelist where I don't use a shield at all and I use a one-handed weapon. I'd highly recommend checking it out. It's probably one of my favorite series so far, just from a pure combat perspective, because it does have the added difficulty of not having a shield, but it is extremely fun because you're going to be able to move really fast on the battlefield, because I'm wearing relatively light armor and I make sure that I'm moving really quick, so I can dodge and I can parry and I can do all that wonderful stuff. Anyway, but just purely for the fact that I'm not really going to be doing tournaments that much anymore, and also the fact that I'm not actually going to be using a one-handed without a shield, I'm going to probably just take trainer, even though this is, in my opinion, one of the most useless things, just hit points being increased by 2. Now, why? Why is this? Again, it's one of these things. Hit points being increased by 2 is absolutely useless. I'm going to be taking it, but not because that's good, but only because the melee troops gaining 5% additional experience. That's the only thing I'm going to be taking there. That's the thing that I want to benefit from. So hopefully that's going to help us out a little bit. Anyway, yeah, hopefully we'll be done relatively soon with this caravan. We're moving to Lagata right now. Okay, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, we're getting some pretty decent level ups right here. And we also do want to bear in mind that I will probably see if I can maybe... I'm going to try the polearm again, because I did say that I wanted to make a polearm based character for the most part in this series, and I kind of want to stick to that as much as I possibly can. But I have just found that one-handed weapons, especially with this combat mod, they are just far and away so much better. So now that we've tested out the scythe, I'm actually just going to auto-resolve against these guys, and then we'll just continue onward. But yes, it seems to me like one-handed weapons are certainly the way to go, at least at the moment, and then we'll see what we can do. Now, that's actually kind of amusing, because I personally feel like this mod would be fantastic for like a duelist series or something like that, or some kind of character build that does not use a shield, because you've seen like firsthand pretty much that ranged attacks don't seem to deal that much damage at all, and it's really kind of shocking, because these guys are shooting me in the face for 2 damage. And that could very well be because of the old classic that they're using cutting damage. You know, if they're using cutting damage with their arrows, then it is highly likely that they're not going to be doing that much. I mean, obviously, we know that. Now, I'm going to see if I can maybe find a bow or a crossbow. Maybe I should use a crossbow. I'm thinking crossbow might be quite fun, but also a bow. I mean, I don't know. Bow is pretty fun because you're going to be able to use that much faster, and it's going to be able to shoot much quicker as well. And they have added, thanks to Open Source Armory, they have added a number of extra you know, little items here that can actually provide you with some significant damage increases. So I'm thinking we'll probably go for the hunting bow, even though the light crossbow has 95 accuracy, which in my opinion is super fun to use. But, you know what? Should I just go for the crossbow again? Should I really? I don't know whether that's, is that foolhardy? Is that foolhardy right there? I don't know. Actually, let's just give it a go, shall we? Let's just give it a go. We're not going to lose too much. We're going to lose about an investment of maybe 3,500 or something like that. And you can see here, armor-piercing bolts. We do have them available, as you can see right there. Oh, yeah, no, never mind. That's actually... What? Oh. I see. I wonder whether you noticed that before I did. Anyway, yeah, I literally just purchased 33 light crossbows. Let's not do that, shall we? Okay, there we go. It's actually gonna cost me 6,500, mainly because of the armor-piercing bolts being so incredibly expensive. But I think it's kind of worth it for the moment. So let's just do that, and then we will place these. Wait a minute, did I just get 2? Oh, I just purchased 2. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Okay, apparently I purchased 2. That's kind of a mistake, but oh well. Not really that big a deal, I suppose. Anyway, there is a quest here, but I assume that is inside the castle itself. So that's obviously not really going to help us out that much. Anyway, I'm gonna just see. Okay, I've got 6 in this. Oh dear. Okay, so I've almost leveled up. So hopefully I'm gonna level up relatively quickly. And then I'll be able to maybe do something about that. Okay, I'm going to go in here, not because we're being helped a dramatic amount, but just because I want to see if maybe I can get some really, really quick skill ups and see exactly how it goes with this kind of weapon. Because obviously, I still have 6 in crossbows. It's really not going to be very damaging at all, but these are just bandits, so it might be all right. Let's see what we can do here. Alright, here we go, here we go. Oh, they're actually running straight away. I don't... are you? Are you? Oh, no, you're not running straight away. Okay, I wouldn't blame you. Look at that, though. 44 damage. That's actually not bad. If I do say so myself, that's actually not bad. Yeah, look at that. I actually think that crossbows are probably the way to go. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I mean, look at that. We're actually dealing some damage. I think it would probably be a similar thing if I were to actually do this with a bow, with piercing arrows. I think piercing arrows are probably... Oh, no, look at that. Headshot, no damage. What? I'm sorry, I have no idea what is going on with that. I'm hitting them in the chest, and I'm doing more damage than if I were to hit them in the head. Okay. I don't think that's a setting in the mod, because I don't think I've changed anything about this particular mod itself. So... I mean, that's kind of interesting to me. I mean, I don't really mind, because headshots are harder to get, but you're mostly going to be... That was hilarious. But you're mostly going to be aiming for headshots, aren't you? I mean, that's the main thing you're going to be aiming for, because that does critical damage, usually. However, it doesn't seem like that is the case with this mod installed, so that's very weird. Yeah, I think it's a similar thing to using the couch lancing, you know, because I think couch lancing in the base game, that would be perfectly fine. That would work out, no problem at all. Oh, look at that. I actually only dealt 19 piercing damage by hitting him in the arm there. And there we go. We're gaining a pretty decent amount of riding skill like this as well. Okay, let's go. Zoom, zoom. Ah, okay. Wow. I don't even know where I'm going right now. Okay, there we go. They actually eliminated them. That's great. Okay, that is it. Fantastic. Okay, so we've got a kind of maybe an idea like what we want to do, because I think crossbows do seem pretty fun. So I think we'll probably stay with the crossbow for the moment. If you personally prefer the bow, then by all means, put that down in the comments. You know, maybe there's something that I'm not thinking of in regards to, you know, what kind of benefit a bow is going to give me in comparison to a crossbow. But I'm just thinking that bows are going to take quite a bit longer for us to level up. I don't know, just mainly because they're not that accurate. They're very, very inaccurate when you first start leveling them, and they take a long time to actually level up in that way to make them, you know, the same kind of accuracy that a crossbow has. That's the only reason why I'm thinking about that. Anyway, let's sell a whole bunch of our armor here. Going to sell this other light crossbow that I purchased by mistake, and then we're going to try and create some additional weapons, because I still want to try and make a slashing polearm, because I still haven't given up on that. So let's see if I can actually do it. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we are going to get rid of all of these pieces of loot, every single one of them, at least most of them, and then we're going to move on. And oh wow, that's actually a lot of stuff right there. Okay, yeah, so there we go. Let's do this, and there we go. Okay, fantastic. So, two-handed polearm. There we go. Okay, so two-handed polearm, and let's see. So this is what I was using, and I don't know whether I even have a slash. Okay, here we go. A sword staff. This is looking quite fun. What do you think about this? This seems pretty interesting. Okay, let's have a sword staff. It does have a thrusting damage component. I found out that you don't need any of these things either. This is just adding additional length potentially if you want that. But generally I don't think we really need more length, because most of these shafts and handles right here usually have a pretty significant amount of that already. So let's just see what I can do. So mahogany long spear shaft. This is this can actually couch lance. This can actually couch lance, and it has, oh, very, very low handling. Not a big fan of that. I'd like more handling if at all possible. Swing speed's pretty good. Weapon reach is okay with this one. I could also make this much, much longer if I want to. I'm not sure. Wait a minute. Swing cutting damage is 130. That's pretty decent. I gotta say, I feel like that is actually pretty decent. So I'm thinking we'll probably do this. We only have one shot at this because the steel is about to run out. So let's make it and see what happens. I'm gonna call it Battle Wizard. There we go. There we are. We're now 125 smithing as well. And I'm gonna just do a little bit of converting, just because. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make a different one here. Which one does the most? Okay, so I'm going to make this one as well, and we're just going to see how that goes. So let's call this Battle Floppy, because apparently the stats are all terrible, but we're going to try and use that. And we'll see which one we prefer, yeah? So let's have a look. Okay, so Battle Wizard is what we're going to use first. Going to use that instead of my broadsword, which is probably not the best idea, but I would like to try and continue leveling up my riding skill quite fast, and, well, good way to do that is by using a ranged weapon, of course. Okay, so stamina spent for refining is halved, stamina spent for smelting is halved. Okay, this makes no difference to me whatsoever, because I have stamina disabled, because I find that annoying and extremely, extremely inconvenient. So otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spec into crossbows, and we're going to spec into control. And there we go. We're going to start leveling that up. And we'll see what we can do with that. Okay, so let's move back here. Oh yeah, by the way, my other castle did get taken back for some reason. I'm not entirely sure how that happened. But thankfully my other castle is, as you can see, still just perfectly fine. And they are building some fairgrounds right now, which is going to take them 130 days. Yes, that's a little bit... a little bit too long for my liking, but, you know, can't really do much about it. Anyway, we do have quite a few high-tier units in my party right now, so I should probably let those go back into the garrison here. That's generally what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to level up people, trying to get them to the max level, and then I'm basically just swapping them out, and I'm taking lower level troops and then leveling those up, and so on and so forth. Basically just doing that again and again and again. So let's just continue to do that, and I'm going to take, I usually take around 60 to 70 units if I can. So let's do something along those lines. There we go, 75 should be pretty good, because that seems like a pretty decent balance with the amount of horses that I have in my inventory right now. So let's see what we can do otherwise. Okay, so yeah, the other thing that I've been doing, which has been very, very lucrative, and not in terms of anything but influence and relation gain, technically just relation gain in this case, is doing tasks for the noble supporters here. So in other words, going into battle for these villages. You see these villages that I've marked right here? These villages are all allowing the recruitment of noble units, and noble units are absolutely fantastic. They are really, really good, as you can see right here. Let me see if I can actually find some. I think I have some in my inventory. Here we go. I have some in my party right here. Now, noble horsemen, we have these guys, all right? So these guys right now, they look like trash. They're terrible, aren't they? Yes, they are absolutely awful. They have really, really bad stats and all that terrible stuff. However, look at this. Once they level up from noble lancers into companions, and then into honor companions, that's when they start doing the business. And you can see here that these guys have 260 in polearms and 230 in riding skill. These guys are crazy good. Or at least, you'd hope that they'd be crazy good, right? Because, you know, polearms are kind of terrible with the combat mod, but, well, we'll see. Maybe I'll uninstall it if I can actually uninstall it. I have no idea whether that's even possible at this point. But yeah, I'm actually contemplating it, to be honest, at this point, because the combat mod is making a lot of weapons obsolete, and I'm not really liking that. I do like the fact that the combat mod changes things up and makes things maybe a little bit more realistic in regards to actual speed and relative movement and so on. You know, that sort of thing is always really, really interesting and fun to me. But I really just... I want to headshot someone, and then I want them to die. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. This is actually a fantastic polearm, though. As you can see here. Does pretty significant damage, and that's exactly what you'd expect, because it's a slashing polearm. I mean, what can you expect otherwise? It's a slashing polearm. Of course, you're going to be doing some pretty heavy damage. And that's you know, that's to be expected. Obviously, we're fighting looters and everything, but, you know, it's nice to know that it is still doing good damage. And I was actually hoping that I may maybe be able to use my crossbow here at least a little bit. Yeah, it's one of these times, isn't it? It's one of these times when I basically cannot do that without really, you know, failing a huge amount. Oh, nice kill. Nice kill. Look at that. 4 skill points in riding, 8 skill points in crossbow. I can't believe it. Okay, that was pretty nice. Okay, yeah. I also found Nathanos, by the way. He was eventually released from prison, and he was then in Kuyaz, and I could find him very, very easily, and that wasn't too bad. Okay, so we know now that Battle Wizard is looking pretty good, but what about Battle Floppy? Alright. If anyone's coming into the video right now, halfway through, I don't even know, Battle Floppy. I mean, really, come on now. That is probably one of the best names that you're ever going to hear of a legendary weapon, right? Oh, yes. Yeah, that's definitely going to be, that's just fantastic. Okay, so anyway, if only this guy had scared these bandits into me, that would have been really, really good. I'm wondering whether I should just fight these looters just randomly, but I don't really want to. I would like to fight something a little bit more difficult, but I suppose just for the purpose of testing, we might just want to go in here. Yeah, but my wages are now starting to sort of skyrocket out of control, which is a little bit of a problem as well. Oh, hello there, Mr. Crash. Okay, I had a crash. I'm not entirely sure why this crashed. It could be the map. Yeah, I assume it is probably the map. But yeah, that is not particularly good. That is not particularly good at all. Okay, I'll see you in a second. Hopefully my autosave is not too far back. Alright, so it turns out that we're actually pretty far back. Yeah, 15 minutes, in fact, or 10, or whatever it was. But yeah, anyway, I'm just gonna sell this, gonna sell the light crossbow once again. And I don't even know what to do right now, because we've lost Battle Wizard and Battle Floppy. We don't have either of those with me right now, which is actually kind of sad. I'm going to be creating them again, so don't worry about that. It will be pretty easy for me to replicate them, because I didn't get any kind of legendary weapon proc from the creation or anything like that. So that is not too big a deal. And it is currently peacetime, as you can quite clearly tell, so there is not that much for me to do, but I basically just wanted to give you a bit of an update on what I've been doing. And yeah, so as I was saying beforehand, I basically just wanted to let you know that these villages, at least for me, these ones right here that I've highlighted, they are all noble spawns. So every single time, at least in this particular factions area, so every single time I go to those places, I try to do a task for them as much as I possibly can. Usually they have rotating tasks, so it's really, really easy for me to get relation with these guys. And I believe I have so much relation with one of them that I have like 80 relation or something like that, so I can basically just recruit every single one of his noble units, which is absolutely insane. Anyway, we're just going to go for another point in crossbow here, as I said before. Obviously, we rolled back a little bit, and that is that. Anyway, I think that's actually going to be it for this episode. I obviously didn't want to end it here, but I am now so far back that I don't really want to go through all of that again. And yeah, just know that my castle is looking pretty good. We're quite secure over there. Do have a pretty decent amount of people, and I have a good amount of relation with villages in the area and all that stuff, and my trade skill is leveling up quite nicely too. Yeah, actually, on the note of that, I actually leveled up trade skill I think twice over. So I had I took Self-Made Man and Spring of Gold. So Self-Made Man is not implemented in its primary skill, and its primary bonus is not actually doing anything for me. But the secondary, in my opinion, was pretty useful because Marketplace, Kiln, and Aqueduct projects are built 30% faster. I personally think that that's worth it because the alternative was you hire mercenaries from taverns for 20% cheaper. I don't care about that. Also, 15% lower wage for caravan guard troops. I also don't care about that. So that's okay. I mean, obviously, it would probably help me out quite a bit to have a 15% lower wage for caravan guard troops in case of all of my caravans. Maybe that would have been worth it. But I don't know. I wanted to try the 30% faster one, so that's what I went for. And then Spring of Gold is gaining 0.1% interest per day on the gold that you currently have, and it is capped at a maximum of 1,000 per day. Personally, I don't really like this one because it reminds me of the real world, and I think that 0.1% interest is really, really harsh, especially considering maximum 1,000 per day. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. The other one is negotiation for safe passage barter is 50% cheaper. This is possibly kind of useful if you get taken prisoner a lot, I guess. I mean, that could be kind of useful, I suppose, or if you're running around with a very small army. Otherwise, the next perks that we're going to get are pretty useful. So you have the trickle down one, gain relationship of 1 with merchant notables if you buy more than 10,000 gold worth of trade goods in a town. In my opinion, this is not that useful, but the governed town gaining 1 prosperity per day as long as it is building a project, in my opinion, that's very, very useful if you have a town. And then the man of means, recruitment of minor factions into your clan is 20% cheaper, and you'll get a 30% reduced ransom offer. I think these are both terrible. 30% reduced ransom offer, that relies you to be taken prisoner. You really don't want to be taken prisoner at that point in the game when you have 275 in trade. That's all I can say about that. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.